It's my 31st birthday. If you didn't know, last year I made a video called 30 years. I went get somewhere around here. 30 things I learned from 30 years of my life. I feel like 30 was a big monumental age. It's when we're considered to be at our peak in life, right? Well, I don't believe that. That's what a lot of people say. So I put some lessons that I've learned over the last 30 years of my life there. And please check that out. Please like, subscribe. It's fairly long, but a lot of jam-packed content. I just recently rewatched it myself. I don't like to watch myself, but I was able to do that. And this year I wanted to add an additional one. So one lesson I learned in 31 years of life that I wanted to add to that list, based on everything that we've seen happen this year: COVID, politics, racism in our country, in America here. One of the biggest things that really came up for me this year, and we talked about it on the podcast, so if you're not a listener of the Ruben and Jesse podcast, highly recommend go check it out. But Jesse and I really covered this throughout several podcasts that is just me and him. And that big thing is to question everything. I like the quote, trust but verify, because a lot of this year seeking the answers but seeing that they switched it on us or they didn't know, and then these politicians that don't want to be the people to ask for forgiveness for being wrong, but instead work around it. I won't talk about who specifically, but if you look at the whole political spectrum, that's what we've seen a lot this year. So this year was my year of literally questioning everything and everyone, including my own biases, including seeking the opposite of what I understand, right? So for example, I'm going to use holistic health. If I'm completely against McDonald's, right, and I see all the videos and ads on why McDonald's is such a bad thing to eat, I'm going to seek the other side and see why people would do appreciate McDonald's or think it's okay and a good thing to eat. That's just an example. I still don't believe McDonald's is a great nutritional source to get everything you need to live a healthy and whole life. But that's just the example I'm going to use, because if you do seek the good parts of McDonald's, you will find it. The internet is littered with both sides to every story. And now what I've learned throughout this year is that there is some truth to every side, but also some lies to every side, and that the truth, it's most of the time somewhere in the middle. Last year I did a carnivore, sometime this year I did a carnivore diet. I've done vegan in the past. I made a video on the carnivore diet, and I experienced some great things to it. But we don't understand how that can affect us in the long term. I don't want to take the chance, but I do still watch people. Same thing with veganism. May be great for the short term, but we don't have enough data to prove long-term health effects for that. So the truth lies somewhere in the middle, where we're meant to be omnivores. We're meant to eat both. Majority of the longest living people in the world eat a bit of both. So taking that, I've begun to question everything, including my own biases, reading the opposite of books. I mean, one of the hardest books I read this year was Candace Owens' book. I think it's called Blackout. It's hard to read because I don't really agree with everything she says. But I was like, I've heard her on podcasts. She sounds pretty smart. I don't know. You may think she's not. I said she sounds pretty smart. I didn't say she is, right? But she definitely came up for me. I was just like, you know what? I have Audible. I get a free book a month. Bought it, I listened to it, and then I repurposed that credit for another book eventually. And everything. I think moving forward when it comes to social media and looking at things, just like find the source. There are great people that you can listen to that bring on people that are pretty truthful. So I love podcasts like R.V. Marcus's podcast is very good. Sean Stevenson, he kind of seeks the truth. And these are people that may be like deniers of the current situation going on. I won't say because I don't want this video to get flagged for anything. But it's sometimes good to listen to both sides, especially with this CV thing being a huge issue right now, and what's true, what's not true, what's the data suggest. We don't have enough data, we don't have long-term information, so why are we making decisions based on these short-term, very small studies, which aren't really that great, which is why one of the books I read, The Carnivore Code, really digs into this on like how a lot of studies are kind of BS. Yes, he was really pushing for carnivore stuff, but what I really gathered from that book, The Carnivore Code, was that studies can be inefficient in helping you get to the truth. So sometimes we have to even question those unless they're like double blind. That's all I want to say. Didn't want to make this a long video, but just that one thing that I learned this year was to question everything, trust but verify, and make sure you have people who will challenge you. Have great friends who will challenge your beliefs and your thoughts into what you believe, so that you can look at both sides and come to your own conclusion eventually, instead of siding with one and just believing everything they say. That's very cultish in a sense. So take the time to trust but verify, right? Question everything, folks. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please add your notes in the comments below on what you thought of this lesson that I gathered from living this 31st year of my life. Like, subscribe, share this with a friend who may be one of those people who are very one-sided, very rah-rah. I'm willing to take the heat in the comment sections below. So please share it, like, subscribe, as more and more videos will be coming out for you this year. So yes, I will leave you out with that. Much love, and see you next time.